When you look at the world map, it's immediately obvious how many continents there are and which countries belong to which ones.
No, it isn't.
That's right, that's why we're doing an episode about it. Welcome to Map Men.
We're the men.
And here's the map. All British primary schools rated at least satisfactory by Ofsted will teach their children that there are 7 continents: Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, Antarctica, North America and South America.
But other countries' curriculums beg to differ. In parts of Europe, they teach just 6 continents.
In Russia and Japan, they teach a different 6 continents.
And in South America, they teach just 5 continents.
So who should we believe?
Whom should we believe?
Exactly.
The most common definition of a continent is a large continuous landmass separated by oceans.
I like that definition. It's exactly how I imagine a continent.
Good for you, Mark. Now take a look at a world map and tell me how many large continuous landmasses are separated by ocean.
Great. Australia?
1.
North America?
It's attached to South America.
But the Panama Canal
Is man-made and definitely not an ocean.
Point taken. So, all of America?
2.
Antarctica?
3.
Africa?
Africa is only separated from Eurasia by another man-made canal, the Suez, so it doesn't fit the definition.
I see. So, Afro-Eurasia?
Congratulations!
So, according to the most common definition, there should only be 4 continents.
Also, the largest of these, Afro-Eurasia, contains 86% of the world's population, making it a useless distinction.
I don't like this definition anymore.
Neither do I. So can we instead use another, more sciencey definition?
We can. The reason the Earth's land masses are as spread out as they are is because the tectonic plates that make up the Earth's crust have moved them apart over time, and using the major tectonic plates as our guide to the continents, we get a more even distribution of where they are.
Tectonically speaking, North America is separate from South America, Africa is separate from Eurasia, and Antarctica and Australia are separate from everything. Nice and simple.
But on closer inspection, this tectonic definition also has some major issues.
For example, Australia. The country of Australia is this bit.
But the tectonic plate, also called Australia, includes Australia and a bit of New Zealand, and half of the island of Papua, which includes both Papua New Guinea and the province of West Papua, which is in Indonesia, which is in Asia.
Which is confusing. So to avoid this country-continent muddle, other names for this continent do exist, including Sahul, Meganesia and Australinia.
Not to be confused with Australasia, an increasingly unfashionable term describing Australia and New Zealand and some but not all of the Pacific Islands, so we're not going to mention it again.
So then, what continent does New Zealand belong to? By both our definitions so far, none.
Good for New Zealand. What's wrong with not belonging to any continent?
Not being able to take part in the Olympics. Because this famous 4-yearly competition to see who can host the best fireworks display is open to every country in the world, its 5 continental rings must somehow include them all.
Each ring represents a different continent. There's Europe, America, Africa, Asia.
And this one represents a broad region including Australia, New Zealand, as well as the Micro, Mela and Polynesian countries known as Oceania.
Oceania, its very name meaning the opposite of continent, is not considered one by any strict definition, but it's a popular term, especially for the purpose of making sure no country misses out on being incontinent. Only Antarctica doesn't get an Olympic ring because it's too cold to host a fireworks display.
No.
The tectonic and Olympic approaches could be easily combined, including both Antarctica and Oceania, giving us a nice problem-free 6 continents.
Except it's not problem-free at all. We need to talk about Europe.
Whether part of a landmass or a tectonic plate, Europe appears to be nothing more than a glorified Asian peninsula. So, what actually is Europe?
Can it really be possible that the home of the continental breakfast isn't even a continent at all? And if so, what do we call that breakfast other than disappointing?
Which brings us to a third element to consider in the definition of a continent: culture. Knowing which continent a country's in immediately tells you something about what it's like.
And because Norway has more in common with Sweden when it comes to language, religion, ethnicity and favourite cutlery than it does with, say, Vietnam, a line is helpfully drawn here, breaking Eurasia up into 2 bits. But complicated culture can't be conveniently cut into clear categories.
Some countries cause tremendous headaches for this dividing line.
First, Armenia, a country which, with a 95% Christian population, arguably falls in the Europe category, but geographically belongs to Asia. And speaking as someone who's a 32nd Armenian, where do you think these eyebrows come from, I can confirm I have no idea what continent it should be in.
The second problem country is Turkey, which incessantly prides itself on being an Asian-European hybrid.
Food?
Asia.
Trading partners?
Europe.
Religion?
Asia.
Writing system?
Europe.
This leaves the dividing line with no option but to split Turkey's largest city, Istanbul, straight down the middle, misleadingly suggesting that the populations either side of the Straits of Bosphorus are somehow totally different from one another.
One way of solving the problem of where the line goes is to insist that it doesn't exist.
Which is the approach taken by Russia, which should come as no surprise because it's in Russia's interest to view Eurasia as a single continent.
If it's divided, that might make people think they're different from each other.
And when people think they're different, they like to talk about things like independence.
To make matters messier, some European countries have significant territories in other continents. The largest part of Denmark is officially in North America.
And France, with dozens of overseas territories, has put bits of Europe in Africa, Oceania, both Americas and Antarctica.
Perhaps the best example of the difficulty of pinning down what is and isn't Europe can be found in the insufferable Eurovision Song Contest.
Insufferably fabulous? In its first year, just 7 very European countries took to the stage: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Switzerland and West Germany.
But with more countries wanting to get in on the pop-tastic action, this quickly expanded, adding transcontinental Russia, dubiously European Georgia, Asia's Israel, Africa's Morocco, eventually giving up the geographical facade altogether with Australia's Australia. What Eurovision demonstrates quite well is that continents are all about politics. Every continent now has some form of political and economic union. There's Mercosur, the African Union, ASEAN, and of course the EU.
But these organisations are rarely drawn on the same lines as the continents themselves. Despite the number of people who confused Britain leaving the EU with Britain leaving Europe, it remains something which, tectonically speaking, we can't actually have a referendum on. The underlying question in all of this is, why does it matter how many continents there are? Should we even care which one we belong to?
Well, no, not really. What the continents really represent is a human desire to use broad generalisations to categorise the world into arbitrary subdivisions.
So whether it's 7, 5 or even 6 continents, these subdivisions will remain as useful as they are argued about.
Are you really a 32nd Armenian?
Yes.
Because I'm a 23rd Hawaiian.
Are you really?
No.
Hello.
Bonjour.
With travel restrictions coming to an end, we'll soon be allowed to go on holiday again.
Les restrictions pour voyager sont bientôt terminées. Nous allons pouvoir enfin partir en vacances.
So there's never been a better time to brush up on a foreign language.
Marc ne parle pas français, alors je peux dire ce que je veux.
Which is why we've partnered up with Rosetta Stone to help you learn a new language anywhere, anytime, on desktop, mobile or tablet.
Marc ne met pas assez d'assaisonnement dans sa bolognaise.
Instead of dull translation exercises, the Rosetta Stone approach is to fully immerse you in the language, connecting images to words and sounds like you did as a child.
Marc porte les mêmes chaussettes depuis 3 jours.
This makes learning a new language easy and fun, and ultimately gets you thinking in your new language.
J'ai volé tellement de Sharpie à Marc au cours des 5 dernières années.
And only Rosetta Stone has True Accent, speech recognition software giving instant feedback on your pronunciation to help perfect your accent and sound like a local.
The best way to enjoy Rosetta Stone is with Rosetta Stone Lifetime Unlimited. Full never-ending access to the current app in as many languages as you like, with phrase books, stories and text at every learning level for the rest of your life.
Click the link in the description below where MapMen viewers get a very special offer on all of Rosetta Stone's subscriptions. Best of all, the Lifetime Unlimited offer for just £179 for an entire lifetime of immersing yourself in the languages you want to be great at. Et vous pouvez utiliser vos nouvelles compétences linguistiques pour en mettre plein la vue à vos amis.
Entonces, haga clic en el enlace en la descripción para comenzar su viaje de aprendizaje a un nuevo idioma.
No hay ningún momento como la presente.
Du hast nichts zu verlieren.
Genau.